Hello everybody, weekend update, 2-hour path chats. This is Bob Iacchino along with Mike Arnold. We're going to cover the Forex markets in this weekend update. Before I hand it over to Mike to give you his big macro view for the week and what he's seeing on the charts, I just want to go over the economic calendar for the week. The main day happens in the middle of the week, but I'm just going to start with Sunday. Sunday afternoon, 6:50 Central Time. We've got Japanese machine orders year over year. Forecast is down 3.7%. Japan is finally out of deflation risk. We'll see if that translates to their machine orders, if maybe they get a beat on that and they get a slightly less negative number. Their tertiary index as well, the industry index, the month over month is coming out. That's coming out just before midnight Chicago time. It is expected to be up 0.1%. It was down 0.4% last month. Moving on to Monday, we've got Mario Draghi speaking in Frankfurt. That should be interesting. They had a rate decision last week where they did nothing and basically talked the market off a ledge. They decided that the Eurozone economy really wasn't doing as good as the numbers had been saying, and Draghi spoke to that effect. So he's speaking about 8:30 in the morning Chicago time. We've got labor market conditions index in the U.S., no estimate on that. And we've got Chinese retail sales year to date and Chinese industrial production year to date, and those are both year over year numbers. Retail sales expected to come out at up 10.6%. Industrial production expected to come out at up 6.2%. Tuesday, March 14th, we've got the German Consumer Price Index year over year. This is the final for February. Not expecting any change. The previous was up 2.2%, and the forecast is up 2.2%. Then we've got the ZEW survey. We've got the current situation, the economic sentiment, all for March. And then we've also got the Eurozone ZEW survey of economic sentiment. So starting with the German ZEW, the current situation index is supposed to come out at 77.8. That is the expectation. That would be up from 76.4. And the economic sentiment is supposed to come out at 13. That is supposed to be up from the previous of 10.4. The Eurozone ZEW survey, the economic sentiment, there is no general estimate for it. It's not as highly valued as the German survey is, just because of the mix of economies. Really, the strength of the Euro economy lies in Germany. In Australia, we've got the Westpac Consumer Confidence March data. That was last at 2.3. That comes out at 6:30 Chicago time. Referencing back to all the Euro numbers I just gave you, the Euro Consumer Price Index, the German Consumer Price Index comes out at 2 a.m. Chicago time, and the other Euro numbers are 5 a.m. Chicago time. Then we've got Japanese industrial production year over year coming out, again, just before midnight. Moving on to Wednesday, we start off the morning with UK jobless claims. Average weekly earnings for the UK year over year, those are actually supposed to come out a little bit lower than the previous at up 2.4%. UK weekly earnings ex bonuses expected to come out at 2.5%. We've got the employment change for the UK. The unemployment rate is expected to come out at 4.8%, and the employment change is supposed to be positive 80,000 jobs. All of that comes out at 4:30 in the morning Chicago time. We've got consumer price index month over month for February in the U.S. Believe it or not, with all the CPI talk, it's expected to come out at unchanged at 0.0. The ex-food and energy month over month is expected to come out at 0.2. The year over year, which is the important number, both core and headline, the core is supposed to come out at 2.7%, up 2.7%. That'd be a big number. And the ex-food and energy, the core year over year in the U.S. is expected to come out at 2.2%, which is the more important number to the Fed. All of that pricing data I just mentioned scheduled to come out at 7:30 a.m. Chicago time. At that same time, we've got U.S. advanced retail sales for February. That's expected to only be up 0.1, and the core number less autos at 0.1. We've got Canadian existing home sales. That comes out a half an hour later at 8 a.m. Chicago time. That was last at down 1.3. And then the usual crude inventories. And then, of course, it is Fed rate decision day. Now, we are expected to get a 25 basis point hike out of the Fed. The chance of that is up above 90%, according to the CME Group's FedWatch tool. We also have, that's supposed to come out at 1 o'clock Chicago time. Then we've also got a statement, and then we've got a press conference, which the rate hike is expected, but the press conference could cause a ton of volatility if she points toward the increasing probabilities that we're seeing in the same Fed Watch tool that there's going to be hikes later in the year as well. So the Fed press conference, the FOMC press conference with Janet Yellen, starts at about 1:30 Chicago time. Then some of the stuff which would normally be extremely important but probably won't move the market as much. You've got gross domestic product in New Zealand. That's at about 4:45 Chicago time. You've got the Japanese buying of foreign bonds, which used to matter a lot more than it did. There's not even an estimate on that anymore. And then we've got the Australian employment figures. Full-time employment is supposed to have risen by 16.5 thousand jobs, and the unemployment rate is supposed to remain unchanged at 5.7%. And then Thursday, for those of you that trade the Swiss franc, we've got the Swiss National Bank's rate decision. The deposit rate is supposed to remain at negative 0.75%. That's right, negative interest rates continue in Switzerland. The lower LIBOR target range, negative 1.25%, supposed to remain unchanged, and same thing for the upper target range at negative 0.25%. We've got Eurozone Consumer Price Index coming out. That'll be 5 a.m. Chicago time. Year over year, 2%. Month over month, up 0.4%. If I failed to mention it, the Swiss Central Bank announcement's 3:30 in the morning Chicago time. Then, Bank of England rate decision, 7 a.m. Chicago time. And if there's any change to their asset purchase program, 0.25% supposed to remain unchanged. 435 billion sterling in their asset purchase program supposed to remain unchanged. Then we've got U.S. housing starts, 7:30 Chicago time, month over month. Building permits month over month. Housing starts expected to increase 1.4%, and building permits expected to drop by 2.6%. Then we've got jobless claims expected to be out at 242,000. That's all at 7:30 Chicago time, half an hour after the Bank of England's rate decision. And then last but not least, Friday, industrial production numbers out of the U.S. expected to rise at 0.2%. Manufacturing expected to be up at 0.3%. And then the University of Michigan's consumer confidence number expected to be at 97. That would be up from 96.3. Then we've got the leading indicators, which is just not much of a number anymore. That goes all the way back to February. That's expected to be at plus 0.4%. And then the Baker Hughes rig counts. Current rig counts are about 768,000. They've been rising very slowly and in a somewhat sticky fashion for crude oil traders. So that's the total of the calendar for the week. Let me turn it over to Mike to show you what he's seeing on the charts.
Okay, thank you, Bob. So, big reversal. Euro US dollar on Friday got above our trend line, immediately went to the full target, even bypassing some of the intermediate targets. Our full target was under the clear path move at 106.70. It did reach up even to the next target of 106.91. If we continue with euro strength on Monday, meaning euro's going up, watch for the retest of the 106.91 level, followed by the 107.04 cluster area right up here. And if we get above there, next major target is 107.45. If we reverse and the euro goes down, so we have dollar strength and euro weakness, watch for a test of the 106.62 followed by the 106.48, then back all the way potentially down to the 106.19 where we have a flat 50-day exponential, a Gann level, and the prior trend line that was broken. Pound US dollar. Not much going on Friday. If we have updated the Gann levels, if we have pound weakness, the next levels lower are 120.92, followed by 120.77, followed by 120.51 on the downside. If we do rally, especially and exceed Friday's high, watch for these Gann levels highlighted in orange, 121.96, followed by 122.17, followed by 122.37. We also have our declining rotation zone, which comes in at approximately 122.25, going to provide some resistance. If we get through all these levels, Next major area up is 122.56. Yen rallied up to our next major GAN area, 115.51, and then reversed sharply and closed on our significant level. It's been in place for a long time, 114.66. If we continue lower on Sunday night and Monday morning, watch for 114.24 followed by 114.01. We have an 8 coming in at the 114.24 level, the trend line that was broken for support. And then below that, we're looking all the way down to around the 113.81 level. If we move back up, watch for retests of 115.12, followed by 115.51, followed by 116 even. Those are going to be the next levels higher. If you get above the 116 level, you have a cluster around 116.28 to 30. Swissy sold off a bit on Friday, closed right at a key GAN level, 101.02. Further weakness, watch for a retest of Friday's lows, followed by the rising trend line and about the 100.66 level. If we get through that trend line and the 50-period exponential moving average, we're watching at 100.42 GAN cluster area for support. If we rally, resistance at 101.45, followed by a declining trend line, followed by a cluster right around 101.66, and a key defining point at 101.70. Aussie US dollar, also Aussie stronger against the US dollar on Friday, returned to a prior breakdown zone, 75.42. Continued rally on Monday, next major level 75.67, declining 8 and a key GAN level, and then your next major area significant level and GAN cluster 75.93. Turning back down, watch for potential support about 75.22, and then all the way down to the lows set on Thursday and a significant level at 74.93. If we do break below that, the next major support comes in right around 74.70, and then we have 74.58 to 74.50 next GAN area for support. CAD, Canadian dollar, sold off on Friday, come down to retest the trend line and the rising 8 area, another key GAN area at 134.41. If we go back down Sunday night and Monday, watch for a retest at 134.41, followed by the lows set on Friday at 134.21. And then if we can get all the way through that, your next major support doesn't come in until the 133.69 cluster area and end of this little clear path move. If we rally again tomorrow, watch for 135.19, followed by 135.40. And if we were to get through there, its next major target up is 135.75. Finally, the Mexican peso, strong reversal in the declining rotation zone, pretty close to a significant level up there. Sold back down through prior targets and through a GAN level at 19.61300. Further down move on Monday, watch for support from this rising trend line, followed by a retest of the 19.42.537 area, followed by the 19.38.834 area. If we go back up, next major resistance again is the 19.88802, where we also declined 21 coming in. And if we were to get through that, we have resistance from the declining trend line. It's really all I have for you right now, Bob. And everyone, back to you.
Thank you, Michael. New Money Path podcast is out. Check it out. PathTradingPartners.com, or type in the Money Path podcast on Google Play or iTunes search bar. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.